Hi everyone, Gina with Belly Beads Paper Jewelry here today, bringing you a tutorial on these modified square beads. And when I say modified, what I mean is there was a YouTuber who has a channel and she makes square beads. And I thought of a piece of jewelry that I wanted to make with it, but it was a bit big, the square, so I modified it. And they also look like that candy called Charms, and I name all my beads. So I named this the Candy Charm bead. And I'm going to show you how to make this today. All right, so let's get started. The materials used today were all purchased by myself. I am not sponsored by anyone. And I wanted to begin with the paper bead rollers. Now, the rollers I'm using, these are two, you can use the single pins, but the idea came from the double pin, and this is Julie's. She has a great tutorial on how to use this. I'm also going to show you, but you should go check it out. It's really awesome. And the idea of my modified beads came from that roller itself. The next thing are my supplies are the glue. Here I have is a clear glue, and I'll show you why I'm using this one. Also the glue stick. Now, with all my beads and all my edges of my paper, I like to see some kind of color. I don't like seeing the white so much. So I usually will run it through an ink pad. And that kind of finishes it all off for me. And I like that. All right, so let's get started. So the original idea was this double pin roller. And the way these are made, you're going to go ahead, and I started it already, is you're going to feed the paper into the pinhole. And then you're just going to go ahead and wrap it once around. Now, before you do that, and that's why this is really handy, you can go ahead, and I wanted to show you that. In the middle here, you want to go ahead and just put a little dab of glue. And then you're going to fold it over. Now, with this square that she had made, she pressed her fingers into the middle. So see how it's creating a double hole, which is really kind of cool. I like that. And you're going to hold it there for just a little bit. I hope the camera is getting this. Once you feel that it's secure enough, you're going to go ahead and take the glue again. Put a little bit on there. And you want a nice thick glue though. That's why I'm using the liquid here. And you're going to press, see if you can see, I'm pressing my fingers into it to create that double hole. And just keep pinching it in there and pinching it in there. But if you get the idea, that's what exactly this is all about. Now, you don't have to do that for the entire rolling process. You can just go ahead and roll them. And now you can get your glue stick. You needed something a little bit more sturdier to pinch the middle. Let me grab this real quick. And you can see I can still pinch them. Then you can go ahead and use your glue stick or any kind of glue that you feel appropriate. You're just going to keep rolling it up. Rolling it, rolling it. More glue. I would take my time with this if I were you. These can be a little bit cumbersome, but they're fun and they're different. Make sure that all your sides, when you're rolling it, because now we're dealing with a little bit more larger bead, and it can have a tendency to go off to the side. So you want to make sure it's always aligned. And put a little bit more on here. And there you go. And that is really awesome. I love that. See how the beads, now when you take them off, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Now there's like an indentation right here. And then you have your two beads, okay? So that's something that you can, that's where I got the idea. But the only thing is I needed it to be a little bit more space in between there. So that's why I created my bead. Now, I love finishing all my beads off with a nice color on the edges. So I'm going to show you what I usually do. You can either get a tweezers and hold it, or you can rub it into, I think I'm going to use this color. You can just rub it right into the edges there. And look, it gives you a really nice color, and it finishes it off. It's not white. There you go. Now you have that square bead, and it's finished off. You can, though, grab one of your papers and run it through. Just run it right through. Watch your fingers don't get paper cut. And then flip it around. Do the other side. And then voila, there you go. They're both done. Put that to the side. Now, I also have the black, but I think I'm going to use the blue. I really like the blue. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to also do, I have 2 pieces here that I'm going to be using for my paper beads. I'll show you why. So again, that is the square. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to run the second piece through the ink. Okay, now just be mindful. It does get a little messy there, and you can use like a tweezers or something. And I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side. I'd already started making some because this is what you're going to be needing. And you can go ahead and make them first, and that comes with this paper. All right, going to condition our paper. Oops, the ink is a bit messy there. All right, I'm using one of the pins, just the one pin, not the double. And this is a 1-inch. You can also use, this is from Kelly Phillips. You can also use that one. And just slide it through. And you're just going to make like a barrel shape. Put some glue on there. And there you go. That's all you're going to need. All right, and you're going to take it off, fix it up there, and there you go. You have the one. Now, this is the tricky part. You need to wrap it in this. Now, there are tons of other ways you can do this, and believe me, I've gone through all of them, but for me, this worked the best. The second piece, I want to show you one of my beads. Let's see. If you see both the beads in there, there's only one bead because the second one is made with this. Now, you're going to only have to use half of this. And I'm going to tell you that this strand of paper is 2.5 inches long and 1.5 inches at the top. Okay. Now that 2.5 inches long is what you're going to need to roll up to. So what you can do is, what I usually do is I measured all my strips out. I'll show you here. We can do it like this so you know. And then just mark each one. I'm just going to give it a little bend so I know. So then this part I'm going to roll up. Okay, I'm going to roll this all the way up to that bend. Now this is where the liquid glue is much better. This is a little tricky part, but after this it gets much better. Put that there, just enough to place this one that you had made, was the shorter piece. Oops, I just want to show you that this piece is that piece. Place it next door to it. They're hugging, let them hug there. And then you're going to place a little bit more of the liquid glue. I mean, again, you don't have to use the liquid glue, but I found that it was a little bit more secure just for the first piece. And then you're just going to flip it over. Now, this is the tricky part. Don't keep turning, but just tug it just enough so they lay up against each other. Now this part is all glue. I'm going to grab my finger, hold it underneath, turn it over, just like I was going to roll it. All right. Don't do it too much because then you're going to roll them right out of each other. Now I use this glue, which is so much easier. And I'm just going to put it on here like this. Just don't want my fingers getting in the way of this camera. And then just roll. And roll easy. Don't roll like you typically would roll your beads really tight, because you're trying to flip them over. And then flip it over. Flip it over. One more time. Now you're coming to the end, and you want to go ahead and fold it over. So there you go. And you want to make sure that those pieces are all in there. And there you go. And look how nice that is. See? And it's already finished. Now, if you have not done this yet and you don't want to, like, of course, I usually do all the inking first, put it aside, and then roll my beads. But just for video purposes, I wanted to show you. You can go ahead and roll this already, and then you can dip into your bead into the ink and just do that as well. Either or. But this is a really pretty color. All right. I'm going to show you also how to string them. So I just got a regular string and just started with my 2 beads. Now this just came off the press there. They're still a little gunky because I pulled them off of the rack there, the drying rack. And they're still, as you can hear, still crunching. But this has the 1 coat of PC petrifier. I usually dip them in there. And then after that's dried, I then brush on. I usually hold this on my rack. And then I will just brush on the glaze. And this is just 1 glaze. And I like that way only because I did it so many different other ways. And they would just get all gunky and everything. Now, a lot of people ask me, do you still have, I don't get any of the gunk, but I will tell you, there are times that I do. And why do I get that? It's because of the temperature in my house. Sometimes it's really cold, and a lot of times these cannot cure properly. And that's why, depending on your temperature and your environment, wherever you are glazing these beads, they're gonna dictate the way they come out. I noticed that when I did them in the sunshine outside and it was nice and warm, they came out like glass. So temperature does really make a difference. And also after you have done this, I just put the 2 beads behind there, and I'm going to show you that I usually break them apart every single time when after I dip them, I will then go ahead and break them apart, really break them apart where they're so loose. And that will avoid a lot of the gunk. And then I would go ahead and glaze them. But there are times when I do get a little gunky. Why did I get this? It's because it was a little colder, and these were, I did these next to my back door, and there was a cold draft, and it really did make a difference. But I usually get a pair of pliers, and I'll just go in there and snip them right off. Like that. There you go. And I just snip them off. So this is the one, and these are the green. And see how loose they are? And you have to keep them like that every time. Got to keep breaking them apart. And these are the orange. Now, I also have, these are a little bit larger. And if you notice, these are 3 rolls like this. There are 3 of them in there, which are really kind of awesome because they made it a little bit thicker, and I can see my bracelet right now, what I want to make out of it. So I will also do a tutorial on the 3 as well. It's still the same technique. It's just you're adding another roll into it. All right. So if you have any questions, please private message me. I would love to hear your comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, click on the bell so you know when I'm going to be having another video up. It'll notify you. And please leave me those comments. I love hearing from you. All of you have been so very supportive. Thank you very much and enjoy.